Welcome to the Aceman, everybody. It's time to go behind the funny. This is Scott Higgins.
And this is Ace Aceto.
And thank you for joining us. Thank you for downloading us. Thank you for subscribing. We appreciate it so very much. And if you have a moment, please give us that 5-star written review wherever you download your podcast. It's a great way to help the podcast. If you want to help us out another way, tell a friend. We all learn about podcasts from our friends' recommendations, and that's a way you can help us out by recommending us to a friend.
And the last way, if you really enjoy the show, is to go to our Patreon page and become a patron. And that is at www.patreon.com/behindthefunny. And what that will get you, it's one simple giving level, $5 a month. That will get you a t-shirt or a mug, some sort of merchandise, as well as unlocking bonus content that only our patrons can access.
Thank you so much for supporting us. If you want to reach out, you got a question for us, you got a comment, anything, please send us an email at behindthefunnypod@gmail.com.
And now, enjoy the show.
Be careful. He's
and Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end.
Yeah, right.
The podcast, so
That's all right.
feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care, as long as it's good stories.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We got a great show for you this week, and it's hard for me. I'm distracted by that bag you have on the seat over there. As you know, we start off the podcast talking about our bourbon date, and I brought in a special bottle for my good friend Ace over here. I brought in Bob Dylan's double barrel whiskey, Heaven's Door, tonight. This one has got a huge rating by whiskey drinkers. It's a 93 rating.
Yep.
And double barrel whiskey, and we're going to... I've never tried it before.
All
You've
right.
never had it before. But Ace has got a
try that.
secret
Well,
in a
wait.
bag.
So when we drink this, do we have to go, that's smooth?
It's tangled up in whiskey.
Tangled up in whiskey. By the end of this show, because we got 2 bags, I saw this at the liquor store the other day and was like, I got to get this.
Uh-oh.
I didn't even know they made it. And it's from North Dakota, believe it or not. But we're going to stay with the rock theme.
Hey, Fargo there. You
That's
okay?
right, don't you know? This is the official Motorhead.
I didn't know they made that either.
Fucking Lemmy's been dead, but there's Motorhead Ace of Spades Signature Series Straight Bourbon Whiskey. How do you like that, bro?
Sweet.
So
Ace of Spades. All right, we're gonna.
we
try
don't
this
know
one
how
first.
long we'll be on. We don't know if
We might not be coherent by the end of it, but damn it, we're
I
gonna
know.
go.
And we were going to go to the cigar bar after this, but I don't know. We're going to have to see. So that's our bourbon dates. We're double dating with Bob Dylan and Lemmy from Motorhead this week.
2 classics.
2 classics, absolutely. And speaking of classic, our guest tonight.
Got a great guest tonight.
Yeah.
You haven't
So-
worked with him before, have you?
I haven't had.
I've been lucky enough to work with him a couple of times.
I haven't had the
Great
opportunity,
comic.
but I do want to. Mention. Why we have him on and not who we were supposed to have on.
Yeah, that we talked about a lot last
we
week.
talked about a lot. So this guy really came through for us because, as you know, we've been building up to doing a joint episode with the guys from the Mixtape podcast. They do a lot of 80s and 90s mixtape type of stuff, whether it's 80s rap, 90s metal. They do a lot on movies from the 80s and 90s and stuff.
And this was Britney Spears week, too, so
Was
I'm very
it?
disappointed.
Damn it. No. So what was cool was we were going to have them on, and we were going to talk to them about how they got started and then do like a crossover episode where we talked about a topic that they came up with that was more in line with their show. Unfortunately, one of the guys, his dad had a heart attack this week.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
it's sad news, but I guess
he's okay.
Doing okay.
According to the last time I spoke to
Yeah.
him. but just didn't know and ended up having to cancel because he didn't know whether or not they'd be really able to make it. So we're gonna reschedule that probably for November because we've got a packed September. We just confirmed our last not our final, but our last confirmed guest for Scottober, and we'll go through that at the end of the show because I really want to bring on the guy that literally saved us tonight. Otherwise, you would have been listening to the two of us talk about shit.
And you know,
again,
which
is fun every once in a while.
In a way, it kind of worked out because this guy was on our list. We hadn't had a chance to work away to him because we had some other people that we were working through, but we had discussed him. We said, hey, we got to get him on, and it just so happened that it opened up this week, and we were able to get him in this week.
And listen, and this was perfect too because there were other dates that I had asked him for that he wasn't available. So this we really appreciate that he freed up. But this guy is literally taking the Boston market by storm. Grew up in Massachusetts,
Lawrence, Mass.
I wanted to say. So who was it? Dave Decker.
Yes,
grew up in Lawrence.
Yes,
and now he's up in New Hampshire, but. Very, very funny comic. Scott's gotten to work with him. I haven't, but he also books rooms as well. So
we're going to be doing a lot of sucking up tonight.
No. I didn't say it for that.
I'm joking.
I said it for more because, there's a lot of, it's not the same old four bookers that we used to have to deal with. And now there's a lot of guys that are getting into comedy and really working hard at finding rooms and
comedians
booking rooms.
Run good rooms.
Yes,
because they understand
how to book a show.
Right.
Yeah.
How to put a show together.
And we've talked about that before
Yeah.
too, because how many times have I been booked by a booker where it's me and Jim Lauletta, who are both impressionists on the show,
or they book you and two guys that have only been to two open mics before, and the room's not set up right or everything like that. But a comedian knows how to set up the room, knows how to book the show, and you always have great shows.
Yeah, so we're really, really excited to bring on Behind the Funny podcast, Mr. Jason Merrill. There he is.
Cheers, Jason.
Hey, how we doing?
Cheers.
Good.
Look at.
Do I look
look,
fat?
he changed his camera. No, you don't look fat. You look very, very slim. I like the soundproofing in the back.
I
That's
know.
probably what I should be doing back here. Once we take my '80s poster down. My shiny poster. But no, we really appreciate you. You literally came through for us because we just had the cancellation earlier this week. And like I said, I had asked you about some dates in November and it looked like you were booked. So this was perfect that you were available for tonight. So we really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys having me on. This is great.
So let's start at the beginning. You grew up in Lawrence, Mass, and I know
Let's start at the begining. How long was your mother in labor for?
Yeah.
Actually,
This is your life.
she was a month late. I came out 10 pounds 5 ounces.
Holy shit.
That's actually a good question. See?
Yeah.
Hey, this is what I do. This is not my first time asking questions. No, but how long you been doing comedy now for, Jason?
6 years.
Wow.
6 years. Wow.
Yeah.
You've done a lot
In 6
years time,
Yeah.
man. You've done a lot.
I've been thanks. I've been fortunate. A lot of good people that have seen me and I got lucky. Again, you got to be good, but you also got to be lucky. The right people got to see you, and you get that one chance.
Right place. Right place at the right time.
I think it's a combination of things.
Absolutely.
And Dick Doherty said it to me one time. You got to be funny. 2, you got to be someone that people want to work with and want to book. You can't be an asshole. You got to be a decent guy to work with.
Right.
You got to be right place at the right time.
He looked up. There's some assholes out there that get work.
No,
Come on, we know it.
there are, but not when you're not known.
No, not when you're new. Absolutely.
Not when you knew. If you come
You
out
gotta
of the
play
gates a jerk, you're not going to get anything.
Well, what I always say to everybody is, with comedy, comedy was new to me. And I always explain to everybody, comedy's new to me, business ain't. I've been, I'm an older guy getting into it. I've been around long enough to know how to treat people and understand when, when they're coming off different or, which would usually get a younger guy upset, constructive criticism, stuff like that. I played sports, so I was always okay with
Right.
a little constructive criticism that I think some of the younger guys don't take as well. So I think the younger guys have a harder time until they mature into realizing it is a business. It's
Right.
I mean, this is my opinion again.
So
No, you're
how
right.
old were you when you started then?
I was I was 32. No,
Okay.
I'm sorry, that ain't right. I was about 38. 38.
Okay.
38.
I started at 33, so I was a little older when I started doing open mics and stuff like that too. So I was the older guy hanging out with all these young guys. So I know exactly
Right.
what you're referring to is you handled yourself a little differently than those guys did, and then that's life experience is what that is at that point.
Right, like like the typical when somebody's giving you good information, when you guys explain to me, hey Jay, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. My response ain't yeah I know. My response is okay. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Little things like that. There's nothing worse than trying to help a guy out and the guy going, yeah, I know. Oh, you know everything. Why am I helping you?
Well,
So-
If you know, why'd you do it the wrong way?
It's like having it's like having a teenager. They know everything. Yeah.
That's right. Why are we having
You
this
know?
talk? If you
Yeah,
already know,
right.
why are we having this talk? You don't
Now,
need
where-
my help. You're all set.
Right. You already know everything, so you're good. Why aren't you doing Madison Square Garden then?
Right.
If you already know everything. Where was your first time on stage? That first, time you stepped up and did it?
It was at Winter Circle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Dave Radigan.
Radigan.
So I was at a campground and Dave Radigan was doing some comedy. Some guy, I was with my group,
Yep.
typical, always trying to get my group laughing. I enjoyed making people laugh. And Dave Radigan was having a heckler, yapping his mouth. And finally Dave turns to him and goes, all right, buddy. What do you want to do, comedy? Anybody here want to do comedy? I teach comedy classes. And when he said, does anybody want to do comedy? My whole table jumped up and they're all pointing at me.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you want to do comedy? I go, so I had two dreams. It was football and being a comedian. And clearly I wasn't going nowhere in football.
I was going to say I haven't heard of you in football,
No.
retiring or anything. So
Yeah,
it must have been comedy.
I'm a pretty
No,
big
I-
football fan. Haven't heard of you before that.
Yeah. No, I did play. I did play 2 years of semi-pro. That's
Did you?
Didn't,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Everybody goes, "How were you good?" I said, "Yeah." That's why I'm telling shit jokes on a stage.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. But I'm living with
and
Giselle now, so it all worked out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got a beautiful wife. I did good. People think I got money when they see her.
You gotta be rich, buddy.
He married up.
Oh yeah.
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 That's
This
awesome.
pumpkin. There's no way did this pumpkin head land there.
So let me ask you this: so you grew up in Lawrence? Did you have any siblings?
Oh yeah, I had 2 brothers, 2 sisters. I'm the youngest of 5.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah, we've been doing this podcast for 5.5 years. We can count on just over one hand how many people were firstborn that are comics. It's always a middle child or the youngest because we were screaming for attention, right?
That's right. We got picked on. We're used to going on, in front of people and have people shit on us. It's just another day.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Now, what is
that's
your-
called the dinner table when we were growing up.
Yeah, right. What is
That's all that was.
What does your oldest sibling do?
She's a manager at she works at Dunkin' Donuts, I think.
Yep, management. How about the
Yeah.
next one?
He's a manager at I think it's the Walmart mill there, factory
Yep.
and stuff.
Yeah, they all have responsible jobs.
Yeah, exactly. And you're telling
Well,
dick
you're
jokes.
telling shit jokes.
Yeah, shit jokes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. No, but that's why I asked, because it's always seems to be the youngest or the middle sibling that ends up being the comedian, because we just, we were trying to get attention, and that was our power, was to, to make people laugh,
Yeah.
So that first time on stage, that was so you were at the campground,
Oh, okay.
your friends
So,
point to you.
Dave sets it up and starts talking to me on the phone. He finally gets me up to do it. Believe it or not, I was hesitant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
No, we all were that
We
first
all.
time.
Yeah,
I-
absolutely.
I was scared shitless my first time.
I couldn't believe
Yeah.
I actually made the phone call to Charlie Hall and said, "Yeah, I want to try and do comedy in this contest." And then he goes, "All right, be there Wednesday night at 7:00." And I'm like, "Oh shit, this got real. Now I got to figure out what I'm gonna do, because you don't have written material, prepared when you're doing it on after your friends tell you to do it, right?"
Right. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Oh, my buddy should be a comedian. Hey, go after it. You're going to be shocked when you get up there. It's very different than what being the funniest guy at the dinner table, at the bar, or at the party, you know?
And you know that now because you've been doing it for 6 years, that it's not just because, whatever you're making fun of, everyone saw what happened. They heard what grandma said. They heard what your father said, and you're just reacting to it. Now you're on stage in front of strangers having to set up what you're going to make fun of or do the punchline for. And that's a lot more difficult than you realize until you actually stand there and do it.
We've been saying it for a while, and then we had Zolo on a couple of months ago, and he nailed it. He's like, yeah, you know what it is? When you're making your friends laugh, they already know the setup. So all you have to do is deliver the punchline.
Yeah.
Because they know the setup. The challenge of doing comedy is bringing strangers in and having to give the setup and then deliver the punchline and have it work.
Yeah, I call it taking them on the ride.
Yeah.
My little thing. I want to take them. If I can get you to come on the ride with me, I get you intrigued with the story I'm telling.
Right.
It's kind of like getting them to lean in. Once they lean in,
exactly,
they know where we are. At that point, I could deliver my jokes that everybody else would understand. And
see, you are in business because you just used that business term, lean in.
Lean in.
That's a total business term, man.
Yeah. So you go to Winner's Circle, you do that first time. How'd it go that first time?
It went great.
Well, that's a very supportive room for comedy anyway. I've never done it, but everybody says it's such a great room to perform in.
When I was sitting there at one point, I was actually starting to be like, I started getting the nervous twitches, and I was just debating on whether or not I wanted to leave or not. And just as I was about to take 2 steps to the door, my buddy came in with all of his vice president, his president of his company, we brought him here to see your first day. I was like, man, I can't send these people home.
No.
But the funny part is he has a lot of his people from different states and stuff. And they were sitting down. They watched my set. I went through I do little voices, I'm not I'm not really an impression as much as voices and stuff like that. And I mean, I could do some impressions, but I was doing the voices and everything. And I come off stage and I'm waiting to talk to the guy. And the guy goes, he's giving me, this Indian guy, he's giving me a bunch of compliments. And all of a sudden he goes, your Boston accent was great.
Yeah. And you're like, that's the way I talk, buddy.
No, that one wasn't a character.
Yeah, right.
That was me.
Yeah, that was me. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Fucking moron.
Yeah, right.
I just looked at him and winked and was like, yeah, I landed that.
Yeah, I've been working on that one a long time.
So that's great. And you know what? That's a great place to do your first time. Now, that goes well. Obviously, now the hook is set. You're like, I got to do this again. When did the first kind of, all right, this was a rough night, that first kind of bombing come in? How many sets were you in? Like, 3, 4, 5, whatever?
Shoot. Yeah, I did. I still remember this one time where I showed up and there was nobody there. And
those are tough.
I got stories and stuff like that.
Right.
And I'm up there doing my stories and nobody's listening.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and the more I talked, the worse it got. And I was just like, yeah. So I don't know. Then, you go home, you're bummed out. I've noticed, if you pick up the phone and call up one of your buddies and vent to your buddies and laugh about it, then it doesn't bother you as much. But I can't say I never didn't want to do it.
I was just going to say, it didn't deter you, which is what makes you a true comic, because when we bomb, we almost want to get back on stage even more than when we do well.
Right.
Because we want to prove that was a fluke, that we can still do it. You want to get back up even more, so obviously you're you've done these shows, it's gone well. You do this one like that. That's just one of those nights that it just doesn't feel good. There's nobody listening to you, everything like that. But you, next time you had a chance, you went right back up on stage.
Yeah. And we've talked about that before too. That's what sets a comic apart from someone who just wants to try comedy.
The bucket list people.
Because if you're a true comic, if you do great, now you had a taste of crack. You're like, I got to do that again. That felt amazing. And if you don't do well, you're like, I know I can do better than that. I know I can get these people. I got to do that again. I got to sign up for next week. As opposed to the bucket list people, like Scott says, who are just like, yeah, I went up, I did it. That's it. I'm good.
Yeah, or that joke that it didn't feel right the first time you said it, but you feel it.
The concept is good. Yeah, you just got to work on the verbiage, on the setup or the punchline.
I gotta ask you, because I think we've all had one of these where you come up with an idea and you love the idea, so you go up on stage and it doesn't work. So you come up with, you kind of rework it a little bit. You go back on stage, it doesn't work. Did you ever have one of those that no matter what you did, you never could make a connection with the crowd on that one joke, but in your mind, this is a great joke, but you just couldn't make it work no matter what you did?
Yeah, I had...
those drive me crazy.
Yeah, I had one or two of those that I was just like, the good part, it was a short enough joke that once it started bombing, I just, abort mission, jump on the next one.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
one of those type of deals.
Right. Now, you said, you're a storyteller, so you were a storyteller right from the beginning. From the first time you went on stage?
No, yeah. I'm somewhat of a storyteller. I think after my... I do this bit about a church bit.
Yeah, I've seen you do it. It's a great bit.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. I actually started doing it because there was a guy at work that I couldn't stand, and
I love that.
And he was constantly being a dink, and so one day I was at church and I started, and it drove him absolutely nuts. So and I do construction, so I'm up on a lift in a big open area. I think it was a Stop and Shop where it all echoed because nothing was on the walls yet. And I'm doing this church bit and it's echoing, and I can hear him all the way down the hall. Shut up! So that's how I actually got that bit. And I've had people tell me, that's kind of a roller coaster bit. There's a good bit for you because people don't know how to take it. And I've had some people go, you got to be careful with that bit because I end a little fresh. Mm-hmm. And
that's all right.
I had a guy like Lenny Clark, and he told me, he goes, I've been doing this business for 40-something years or whatever you're doing it. And he goes, and that's one of the most original Catholic bits I've ever seen. He goes, don't ever lose that bit. So it was. No,
what I like about it is it's similar to like they do like on shows like Family Guy or South Park, where it starts and immediately people laugh. And then you're going along, and they're like,
uncomfortable.
All right, this is getting a little uncomfortable. And then he goes a little further, and it gets another laugh. And then he goes, and they're like, okay, seriously? He's pushing this a little bit. And then it ends on a big laugh because you take it, past the point of uncomfortable, make it funny again.
And then it's funny again,
at the end. So you got it, the whole thing, the arc of the joke is well done because the way that it ends like that. Because I watched it both, when I worked with you at, for Steen, and then again, the show I did with you at your place that you booked, and, you see that arc kind of go. And I love watching comedians when they have a joke like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
it's like he said, he's taking them on a ride. So you're going up, you're coming down. There's the thrill. Now there's a couple of bumps because you're like, oh, this is a little uncomfortable. Then you go back up and come back down, and it ends. It ends with you going.
Yeah, and the final ending is it's the going out of the singing part into the, joking about the bullshit that happened on the Catholic Church.
Yes,
but I hit that, and you get the oohs and ahs.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still listening to you.
They're still
with you.
and I joke about the oohs and ahs because here they are doing that after they already, basically said they don't even go to church. So
Yeah, right,
it's
exactly.
a funny. It makes that everybody awkward in a good way. And I probably that's when I've had many people come up to me. I shouldn't say many. I'd say probably out of the whole time I've been doing it, maybe 5, maybe 4 people have come up to me and said, "Oh, you got to be careful with that joke." And I'm like, "Thank you very much." I just
Dude,
shake their hand.
that's it. Listen, we've talked about it before. I did a 55 plus community. In fact, I'm doing it again soon. And the last time I was there, there's like 300 people. 299 of them loved it. One guy, I'm standing there and I'm talking to some people, and I do a lot about being Catholic and being Italian, and I see this guy out of the corner of my eye, and I think he's waiting to say hi to me, and I go, "Hey man, how you doing?" And he comes up, shakes my hand, but then he literally points his finger in my face and goes, "I just want to tell you I'm Catholic, and I was highly offended by your jokes." And then I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And before I could say I'm sorry, he's already out. It's like he just had to do that little sniper move where he just had to get it off his chest to say what was wrong with my set. But the people that I was talking to were like, "Fuck him, he's an idiot."
And being comedians, and
that's bugged the shit out of me.
The fact that we
stand
stand on stage looking for approval all the time. That one guy is the guy that resonated with you.
That was probably 6 years ago. I'm still fucking talking about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wish I could say shit like that bothers me because I hear that a lot from comedians. So I watch that miserable prick with his arms crossed, not having fun. Usually he ain't even a guy. It's usually a woman. I don't know why.
Yeah.
There's always that one woman that got to be dragged in. Just leave her at home. Save us all the problems.
Yep.
And I just love it. I just focus on him. I look right at him. Not that I'm trying to get him to laugh, but more or less, "You're not getting to me, honey. I'm having too much fun with all these people." I just had it last week.
Yeah.
Just last week. Literally got into it a little bit with them.
And it seems like, especially since the pandemic, as things have opened up and we've gotten busy again, that there's almost every show there's one person that is like that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, as they call them, the Karens of the world.
But I think people now are also more appreciative of what we're doing. So I don't find there's as many of those judgmental people as there was before.
Maybe I'm noticing them more, but I also think, because of what you said is absolutely true, it's so much easier to get the crowd on your side now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It always, that was always a great tactic before, but now if they're having fun, they'll be on your side in a millisecond.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Compared to where they were before.
Yeah. Because they're all starting to get tired of the Karens or the Toms.
Exactly. I feel the tide is turning a little bit. We went like hardcore politically correct for a while, and I think people have gotten tired of that. And it's rubbing people the wrong way, and they're kind of moving on from it a little bit. Nobody
as long
has.
as you're not trying to be malicious to hurt anyone or go after someone, fine.
Correct.
And even if you do go after someone, I'll pick on someone in the audience a little bit after I've already shit on myself. Or I pick on them and then I shit on myself.
Yeah.
Or we've got a buddy, I don't know if you know John Parada. He books a lot of stuff down here.
Love Parada.
John has a smile on his face the whole time he's busting your balls. So it's not malicious. He's just having fun.
And his entire act is busting balls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I watched him do a set and he comes off stage. He dealt with this guy doing guy ended up having a roach coach, and it was called Meals on Wheels. He was like, "Hey, you can't make this shit up. This guy had his own shit." I was awesome.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, how do you feel about a 400? How do you feel about a 400-pound comic rolling off you in the morning? I want to do coke off your head.
I got a great idea. Food tattoos.
Yeah, food tattoos.
Food tattoos.
Yeah, link to sausage all on my side.
We fucking love John.
I love that guy.
I'm working for him tomorrow. I'm doing a gig.
Yeah, well, I'm doing it with you.
Oh, that's right.
Jackass.
We're both doing it.
So now you said that you had two dreams, football and comedy. How young were you when you were like, "Oh, I would love to be a comedian"? When did that kind of dream start for you?
Wow. Honestly, we had the black box in my house.
Mm-hmm.
and that gets all
jeez.
that gets all the channels.
You went in the Wayback Machine with that thing.
right?
Well, that's what
You didn't have to
And,
jiggle. You didn't have to jiggle the chip like we used to.
Or
to
did you
get-
slide the card in to get the channels you weren't paying
Yeah,
for?
exactly. Yeah.
Oh no!
No,
we
you
got
had the
top of
black
line.
box.
Yeah, the black box. Yeah. So I remember sitting on the hardwood floor in my underwear because I was young enough to walk around the house in my underwear, and
Just
I was
last
watching
week.
Bill. I was watching Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
I remember watching Bill Cosby. I know it's kind of a touchy guy.
No, but you know what? We've talked about it before. He influenced a lot of people. He was a big influence on Ace. I used to listen to his albums.
Especially if you're saying you're a storyteller, that's my style as well. He was the master of telling stories. You know, if you listen to his best of, he tells an entire story just to introduce the Fat Albert character. And at the end of the story, he goes, "Now I told you that story so I can tell you this one." He
Hey,
did
dude,
a
that was
whole.
excellent.
He did.
See, he does actual
do
impressions.
voices, yeah.
Not just voices.
I don't
He
do
does
the
impressions.
I don't do the Bill Cosby joke
But
anymore because I can't.
Do you
but,
remember
yeah.
when he his special himself?
Yeah. Oh,
how big that
absolutely.
was on
It was
HBO.
huge.
And he sat
That was it.
on a chair,
Sat on a chair the whole time?
telling stories, and you sat there the whole time, glued to the television, watching that whole thing.
You can't.
It was brilliant.
As horrible a human being as he is, you can't take away his legacy in comedy. He was a groundbreaker. In fact, if you watch the M. Kamau Bell documentary, the 4-part documentary about we got to talk about Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
The first episode really does focus on the legacy. Like, he was the first black actor that played a fucking spy.
Yeah.
Like, he broke so much ground. He was the first one to have black stunts, like stunt people on shows and movies. Like, he insisted that if someone's going to do a stunt for me, I don't want some white dude in an afro wig doing stunts for me. I want a black fucking actor or black stuntman. So you can't take away from what he did. As horrible a person as he is.
The problem was the hypocrisy of him telling younger black people that don't swear and don't do this when he's out raping people.
Well,
Yeah.
you
It's
just
kinda-
brought up my favorite Norm Macdonald joke. Yeah, the thing about that, there are people are saying that Bill Cosby, the worst thing about it was the hypocrisy. That wasn't the worst thing. Worst thing was the raping.
I think I see that.
Favorite Norm Macdonald.
Or how
joke.
about Dave Chappelle's joke where he talks about, he saves people, but he rapes.
Yeah.
But that's how he recharges his superpowers by raping. But then he saves
And he
people.
saves people. Yeah, right. So I'm sorry, we go off
Yeah.
on tangents all the time.
It's
But
all right, it's
no,
all
you're
right.
right. Bill Cosby. If you're a storyteller, Bill Cosby is.
Bill Cosby.
He was the master at storytelling.
Yeah.
I used to Howie Mandel, Bill Cosby,
Yep.
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
they told stories.
Richard Pryor's,
And they
yeah.
brought you into their world. Like you said, come on the ride. I'm going to take you on a ride. I'm going to bring you into the story as someone who is just standing right next to me as everything is happening.
Eddie Murphy
Right.
and Bill Cosby didn't just tell the story; they painted a picture with the characters
Acted
in
it
the
out.
story.
Yeah.
They acted it out.
So-
Exactly.
That's more or less what I don't really.
That's
have
what you
the-
do.
Like your type of
You don't do impressions, but you create
Accuracy.
characters.
yeah. I mean, and like him, Andrew Tuck is coming.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That, to me, I was dying laughing because I think I did it the week before that. 'Cause I was
Of
young enough
course.
to do it,
Yeah,
So
right.
I'm like, oh shit, that's me.
Well, and that's one of the
we got
things.
some ice cream. We got some ice cream.
And you can't
Afford it because you are under welfare. You can't afford it.
We got McDonald's. Where you get that Whitfield burger?
Right.
He was awesome.
It painted the picture.
I remember going around my school though, imitating Howie Mandel. Remember Bobby?
Bobby, yeah.
Remember Bobby?
That's
Remember
not
that?
bad. That's good. That's pretty damn
I
good.
can't do that one.
I'm-
It's
You're a little
cat.
hoarse.
Yeah,
You're a
he's
little
got-
hoarse.
he's got cat-
You sound like Bobby if he's just smoked a
dude.
few Marlboros,
Yeah.
but no, that's not a bad Bobby. That's pretty damn good.
it's better. I'm gonna have to give you it someday after.
Yeah.
Whatever I freaking figure out what the hell's going on.
Oh,
with this
that's
thing.
right, dear. There you go.
I need some cough medicine or something. I gotta fix me.
You got to get rid of the cat.
Howie was one of
Get rid of the cat.
one of the most original guys at his time, because what he was doing was just so out there. He reminded me of like the next generation of like a Steve Martin.
Right.
Yeah.
That was
Because it
doing
was
that
silly.
crazy, silly,
Right.
off the cuff stuff. I remember one of his specials where a woman gets up to go use the bathroom and he goes down into the audience and takes her chair and brings it up on stage and sets it on
Yeah.
the stage.
I remember that, yeah.
Remember that? So she comes back and she's looking around for a
seat.
chair, and he's like standing there like with his arms out like,
Yeah.
here it is, come on up on
Yeah.
stage. And it's just it was so fun to watch him,
Because
because
like you said, it was the next generation of Steve Martin. It was silly. It was
'Cause,
silly comedy.
You know, Martin had the arrow through the head, and he did the rubber glove over
Mm-hmm.
his head. So it was kind of like that next generation that did that over the top stuff. But
Do you remember? Do you remember when he came out on stage? He went to go grab the mic, and as he went to grab the mic, he knocked it off.
Yes.
The mic fell on the ground, and he looks at the audience like all confused, and he's like, and then he slowly goes down. He lays next to the
lays next to the
Yes.
mic on the
He goes,
floor.
I'm not like, my name's Howie Mandel. I'm not like other comedians. I'm not a stand up. I mean,
Yes.
he's laying on the floor. So I
Silly.
just thought it was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, because it's not something you've seen somebody do before, and it was silly, and
Yep.
it made
Yeah.
you laugh.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
the first time I
That's-
saw George Lopez walk out, he takes the mic out of the stand, and he starts speaking in Spanish, and he looks at the mic weird, and he turns it around, and he hits a button, and he flips it back around, and he starts speaking in English.
Right. Right.
I'm like, it's such a simple concept, but it just worked perfectly.
I mean, Kevin Meaney, when he
Yes.
would pull the microphone out and poke himself. And
Yes.
he's like,
You poke your eye out.
poking your eye out. One of these days, one of your crazy comedian friends is going to put a pin in it, and then you're going to be sad. Yeah, everyone, and that's why I couldn't stand when we went through a period in comedy where if you did props, you were a hack. If you did voices, you were a hack. If you did this,
I
if
hate-
you did anything but stand up there without taking the microphone out of the stand and stand there and do your clever setup punchline,
and you had
setup,
to have a sport
punchline.
coat on.
Yeah,
and,
I couldn't stand that time because you know what? My job is to make the audience laugh with whatever talent I have. My talent happens to be voices. His talent happens to be telling stories and your talent telling stories, bringing people in, doing your voices. I don't care if someone's got props. I like Carrot Top. He's funny, Maybe he's not the best joke writer, but he's a genius at building shit and making people laugh. Whatever your
It's
talent
unique.
is, if you do slapstick, fine. You know what I mean? Who cares? As long as you're entertaining the audience, that's all that matters.
as long as it's your original idea,
exactly
then it's not hack.
right.
And you know who told me that? Tom Cotter.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Because I was doing a couple of impressions on stage at the time, the one of the two that I can actually do.
Yeah.
And I said, I think I'm going to stop doing it. And he goes, why? And I go, it's kind of hack to do impressions. He goes, who told you that? He goes, I don't hear anybody doing that impression. And two, I definitely don't hear anybody doing the concept that you're doing.
Right.
So obviously it's original. He goes, if you can do it well and it's an original concept, it's not hack. He goes, hack is like stealing somebody else's idea, doing an idea
Right.
that's beat to death or something like that. He goes, whoever poisoned your mind with that, don't listen to him.
Right.
And I kind of changed my way of thinking when it comes to what's hack and what's not hack.
Yeah. I
get it.
got a bad experience with that kind of shit. You know what I mean? With
Did
somebody-
you?
Yeah, it's funny how many it's sad that there's certain comedians out there that I when I got into it, I thought it was going to be just a bunch of loving guys. You go get him. You're up next.
yeah.
Go get him. Yeah, I'm not competing against anybody. I really
No.
ain't. If you go up and crush it after me, touche. If you go up and crush it before me, touche.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
I really don't.
There's a
my
lot of
job is to go up there and
insecurity.
try to
That's
be
why.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be.
No.
It shouldn't
But there
be.
is.
If anything, watch the next guy. Pay attention to what he's doing
Yeah.
because if he gets more laughs than you, maybe there's something that you're not doing that it could be a little tweak that you got to fix.
Have
You know,
have you had somebody say something to you about hack or something like that? Is that why you're saying that? You don't have to say who.
You don't have to say
don't have to
names.
say who.
But listen,
Yeah,
people have judged me for 33 fucking years because I do voices, and I really could give a good shit. I still work.
Bookers have judged you because you talked about Rhode Island.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, I know.
you know, whatever.
Yeah, and it's like when Boston comedians come down to Rhode Island, they talk about Boston. So why can't I talk about Rhode Island if I'm in Boston? Big fucking deal,
Whatever.
you know.
Yeah. Well, I had said I come off stage and, you know, I hate using the word crushed because it sounds cocky, but
No,
I
but
had
you had a
real-
great set.
had a great set. And I came off and he's like, the guy just said, oh yeah, I don't know this and that. And I go, yeah, it felt good up there. This and, you know, I even forget what I said. And then he starts saying a couple of things. He goes, yeah, but you can get away with that stuff. I said, what do you mean? And he goes, you know, because you know, you're a little hacky. And I was just like,
Wow,
Oh.
you actually used
And,
the hacking word.
yeah. Well,
Wow.
remember, I'm the new guy. So
Yeah,
Still,
right. Yeah,
still.
but still, that's
So
just
I
a
ju-
lack of respect for fellow comics.
I looked at him. I went, all right. And I shouldn't even say the guy. I had another comedian that happened to be there, and
Yep.
he just smiled and shook his head, and he turned to that other comedian, right. You know what I'm saying, right? And the guy just I won't mention his name, but he just
Yeah.
goes,
No, that's fine.
he just smiles, and then he goes, yeah, and then he walked away, and he turns to me, he goes, don't listen to him. He goes,
Yeah.
you just went up there and crushed, and he knows he has to follow that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it was one of those things that it's like, and the thing is, again, with experience in business, I'm not there. We're there to get the audience response. I'll take all your advice you can give me. I'll try to learn anything I can learn. I was with Jody Salone, and I don't know if you've worked with
Yeah,
her.
well,
She-
yeah.
Oh
we know
yeah,
Jody.
I just worked with her last Saturday. She's
Yeah.
great.
She is great. And she actually met me before, when I just started doing open mic. She knew my brother. And she made a little comment jokingly that, you know, you're not a comedian yet, you know. And my
Yeah.
brother got all upset, you know. But anyways, time went on. And then she goes, no, Jay, you proved me wrong. You went right up the ladder, this and that. I said,
Yeah.
thanks. But we were at a show, and I was watching the show, and I'm just watching. I go, I like this and this. And I start explaining because Amy T was up, and she was doing a great job. Amy T's great, too. And I was
Love
telling
Amy.
her, you know, yeah, I was like, oh, dude, look at how this and that. And then she looks at me. She goes, wow, you're a student of comedy, huh? And I go, what? And she goes, you're a student. Like, you're paying, like, you enjoy this. I go, I look at it, one, I get to do comedy. I love doing comedy. It's something I always wanted to do.
Yep.
2, I get to make people laugh, obviously. 3, I'm getting paid for it. 4, I get to watch free comedy. I get to watch other comedians that I enjoy watching comedy. And I also get to watch the craft. I get to watch a guy like, someday I'll be watching a guy like you and paying attention to how you go in and out of your imitations, how you set up your imitation, how and I'll be paying attention to that and how you bring it in and out and how you go about it, and then I'll look at the next guy and see the way he goes about it. And
You're learning each time. And see, that's the difference too. Because you started later, you appreciate the opportunity to learn from others. Whereas guys who start when they're younger, I mean, I started when I was 21, but I took it seriously too because I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn. But a lot of guys, when they start when they're younger, they're just there because they want to make people laugh. They're there for the party. They're there to have fun, and they're not. I don't want to shit on them and say they're not taking it seriously.
No,
but they're
but-
not taking the learning part of it seriously.
But Ace, you also started at Periwinkles with a community of people that kind of taught you that it's important to learn.
yeah, I mean,
You
when
know,
I
Charlie
started,
Hall and Frank O'Donnell, they were mentors to people that came in there. So
Right.
you came into a culture of, hey, learn from all these guys.
and see, I came in where I was new. There was a group of us that were newer, and then the next class up were guys like Greg Fitzsimmons, Tom Cotter, Joe Rogan, Al Ducharme. So, like, they were the upperclassmen for us. We just, we would sit and go, I want to work my way off of the Wednesday night, open mic. I want to get to the Thursday showcase. And then I eventually want to work up to hosting on the weekends. Like, So there was a clear pathway to how to get better because I had a home club. When you have a home club like that, you can kind of see the progression of the opportunities that are going to present themselves the better you get. So, you start off on Wednesdays and you get invited to do the open mic. Eventually, you get good enough to get on the Thursday showcase. Still no pay, but it's an invited spot. Anyone can get on open mic. You get invited to Thursday. Then you'd get to open Friday, Saturday, and then eventually you'd even get to do Sunday night where we had Frank Santos, the R-rated hypnotist, and he would handpick you and say, "Hey, I like what you're doing on Thursday nights at the showcase. Do you want to come and open up for me?" And then all of a sudden he's going, "Hey, I'm doing a gig in Worcester. You want to come up and open up for me for $100?" And you're like, or $50, and you're like, "Holy shit, I'm getting to open for Frank Santos on the road." Like that was the first road gig you'd get.
You know, and I felt like you, Jason, because when I started, I was 33, like I said, and I started at the Comedy Connection Faneuil Hall in Boston, and I would go on Monday night, and Kevin Knox was hosting, and I would sit there, and I almost didn't laugh because I was too busy studying what he did, the way he would go up on stage and talk to the crowd and stuff like that. And then when I got moved up to do a Tuesday night spot, from the 5-minute spots to the 8-minute spots on a Tuesday, I would watch, that was Paul Nardizzi's night with Harrison Stebbins hosting. And then Wednesday night you had, Jim Loletta and those type of guys. And I would watch all these established guys and the way they would work, and I would just study. And I would see, Gavin come in and watch him go through his material and everything like that. And Kenny Rogerson and these just polished guys that and just study everything that they did. And it was just amazing to watch these guys. And I'm like, okay, he held the mic in his right hand for this joke, but the next joke he had in his left hand. I wonder if he did that on purpose. When no, he was just reaching for his water on that one. But in my mind, I'm like, there had to be a purpose for everything, these guys did.
Yeah, no, I agree. I studied body language and the way.
Yeah.
I've always been. Everybody said you got great stage presence. I think it's, again, could be being youngest, and no, I don't really. I'm the kind of guy that will fart on an elevator to get reactions.
You're not afraid.
Well, I was going to say, I think part of it is on stage. You look very comfortable. I don't know if you are very comfortable, but you portray yourself as being very comfortable. Because the first time that I saw you was at the Scene gig there, Chunky's. I think it was Nashua. I don't remember. It was one of the Chunky's gigs, and you just went up there and you did your time. And he was absolutely. It looked like
totally
he was just
comfortable.
In his backyard at a barbecue, talking to a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
And just did his time. And we didn't get a chance to chat afterwards because you had a second gig and you beat feet out of there. And
I'm kneeling it, ain't I?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that was like really, really good.
Yeah.
And, because you just look comfortable. And to me, that is the first kind of obstacle we have to get to as comedians, is getting to a point where even if we don't feel it, we portray this, look of being comfortable on stage, that we're in control,
right,
of the room.
I think it's just a little bit of a head game too. You got going up there with the mindset that I'm not your comedian tonight. You're my audience.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
And
you're in control.
Yeah. And I think it's just life in general. I mean, you're not going to get nowhere in life letting other people control you. So either you go up there, you grab their attention, you tell them you're here for me. We're going to have a good time. I promise you. Just stick with me. And I try to go up with that attitude and stuff like that. You were mentioning though about guys that you followed and paid attention to. Danny Miller. Have you ever worked with Danny?
Oh yeah. No, Danny.
Danny's awesome. So I do construction. I was on the construction site with Danny, showed him one of my first tapes. He goes, "That's pretty good, kid." And then when I did a competition, it was my 13th time on stage, and I came second place to a guy that with 7 years in the business. And I sent it to Danny, and Danny was really impressed with when I went to grab the mic, it actually just attached.
Yep.
And I grabbed it. I go, "Wow, did this happen to everybody?" It was simple. He goes, but you address the elephant in the closet. You know what I mean?
Yep.
In the room. And everybody reacted to that.
That didn't shake you, and the audience can smell fear. And it's not like they mean to be mean to someone who's fearful. It just happens. For some reason, if they smell fear or they smell a lack of confidence, it's harder to get them to laugh because in their mind, they're thinking, oh, this poor guy. Oh, this.
Well, you make it uncomfortable for them.
Right, exactly.
And instead, you just kind of pointed out the mistake,
right?
Made a joke about it, moved on.
Yeah. So Danny ends up introducing me because he's seen the video. He's like, oh, that was great. He hooked me up. He actually hooked me up with Johnny Peasy. And when I first started with Johnny Peasy, he's been great to me. He's been so great to me.
Yeah.
I couldn't be more thankful enough for a guy that's went out of his way and tried to put me on as many
help
movies
you,
as he
mentor.
can. And he enjoys it.
Right.
He does.
He does. Yeah.
Here's a perfect example of a guy that some people may feel that, okay, buddy, you don't have to correct me every time. He's not correcting you. He's critiquing you. He's trying to help you. So I think as an athlete, understanding that there is, well, not an athlete anymore. I'm like, if I could tie my shoes.
I didn't want to point that out, man. Not to be rude or anything.
I only just met you tonight. I didn't want to say anything, but
didn't want to be an asshole or anything.
I played cornhole. I was pissed that we played singles. I had to walk back and forth. That was a good time.
20 fucking feet. This is ridiculous.
I can't deal with this. How many steps do I got in on this game?
We get a golf cart to get back and forth.
Yeah.
But he was critiquing me, and I appreciated it. And
but again, that comes from being older. It comes from being older, and because you've had life experiences. You've experienced criticism, constructive criticism. So when someone gives it to you now, you're like, oh, all right, I appreciate that.
And Johnny also has a way of delivering it where you could tell it's coming from a
from
place
his heart.
of where he's trying to help you.
Yeah.
He's not just being critical. He's honestly trying to help you because he likes you.
Right.
Yeah. And he wouldn't waste this, but he won't even talk to you. I've seen the guys he's not a big fan of. He don't even talk to them.
Right.
So if he's not talking to you,
100%. Then
he's not helping you. And I'd said to him, "Oh yeah, I appreciate it," And he's like, "Well, what's your outlook?" Because again, this was only like not even my 20th time on stage, and he says, "What are you trying to do with this, comedy?" And I said, "Well, I work during the day, so I just think it's going to be a great hobby." He goes, "Whoa, do yourself a favor. Do you want this?" I go, "Yeah, I want it bad." He goes, "Don't ever call it a hobby again."
Nope. It's a side business.
There's people out here trying to make this happen.
Yep.
Are you trying to make it happen? I said, yeah. He goes, then it's not a hobby. This is you want this to be your livelihood. Treat it like your livelihood. And I think that was one of the better advices I've got in this business, to realize that it's so true, because you do show up with guys that do this just for a living.
Right.
And I wish I could. I just got to make sure. I need the insurance, and someday it will come. But
exactly, we've talked about it. I've been in medical sales for 25 years. I wanted to do comedy. I wanted to be famous. Life took a different path, but you know what? The great thing is I retire in 6 years, and my fucking retirement plan is to chase the dream that I had, because it's never too old. You're never too old to make it in comedy.
You can still do cruise ships. You can still, travel. You can still do comedy everywhere.
Exactly.
That's the best part about doing this. I mean, Rickles was how old, and he was still doing it?
Rodney was in his 50s when he got famous.
So there is no hard stop with this. You can, as long as you're funny, you can still work.
Right.
Yeah. Again, I'm having fun with it. So even it's hard. As much as I know it's a business, it's hard to call it work when you're enjoying yourself.
When you're having fun. That first time someone pays you that $25 or $50, and you're like, wait, you're paying me for what I've been doing for free at open mics for like 6 months or a year or whatever.
I would show up for free, and you just handed me $50. Yeah. This is fantastic.
Well, you're a golfer, right?
Yeah.
My father always says, listen, I got to pay $80 to $120 to go and do what I love. You get paid to go to do what you love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great way of looking at it.
That is
So,
really good.
When you say you're having fun, we like to ask our guests about like high points.
I was going to ask that question.
I'm a professional too with
You're
this
good.
shit.
You're good.
What
You
do you
did-
think I'm fucking? What do you think? I don't know what I'm doing.
No, I'm
What
just
do we-
saying. I'm just saying.
I don't know, Hendry. You
What are
fold
we
under
getting close to-
questioning. You gotta fold under
Getting close to the
questioning.
end, you're stuffing in the end. Stuffing in the end questions.
No. This isn't the end question. No, because we always like to ask our guest about like high points in their career. Like,
Wow moments.
Have there been people that you've gotten to work with that you're like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm getting to be on the stage with this person that I looked up to, or oh my god, I can't believe I'm playing this place that I like used to come to watch comedy, or I can't believe I'm working with this person or on this stage.
You mentioned something earlier that would be a wow moment for me if I was you. When you said that Lenny complimented your joke, the
I've
Catholic,
had-
the church joke, and said that that's a keeper.
Yeah.
I mean, for a guy of his level to have listened to the joke and to never mind just compliment the joke, to take a moment to say, hey, that's a great joke, that's one of the best ones I've heard and everything, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Lenny's definitely I don't even know what to say when it comes to him.
I agree.
He's been the nicest guy for where he is in this business and in his career.
Yeah.
He could be looking at me like, yeah. But he
never does.
But he doesn't.
He never does.
Hugs ya. How's
Yep.
everything going? He still remembers my mom's sick. He,
Yeah,
he'll
he-
ask how my wife's doing.
Crazy,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And he's the guy's an abs. I mean, I don't know what he did in his past life that he has to be so damn nice right now. But
I know. What's he making up for?
I don't know.
but
I don't
he's
know.
he's
He
such
was-
a great guy.
Yeah.
He was one of the first big headliners I worked with, and this was at Periwinkle's like 30 years ago. And I came off stage. He goes, "Hey, you're one funny little bastard. You know that?" And I'll never forget that because he was the first big headliner that said I was funny, and I never forgot that. And he's just
I think
so
he-
genuine.
Yeah.
But I do get scared because he's had some health issues lately, and I'm like, Lenny,
Yeah.
come on, you gotta take. I mean, he's taking care of himself, but still, like, it scares me.
Yeah, his cigars is his only treat. Listen,
That's it.
I could
Yeah,
tell.
right.
The Lenny Clark one was one
Yep.
of the big ones. I was on stage. Dave Radigan put me on stage at this little place up in Maine. I had walked off the stage. As I walked off the stage, it was Christine Hurley headlining.
Yep.
Actually, didn't even know about Christine Hurley at this point. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't know how big she was. So shame on me. And
She
she walked,
skyrocketed in a short time,
Yeah.
too. I mean, I don't mean to take away from it because she's probably been doing it 10 or 11, 12 years now, but she shot through the roof very, very quickly. She's amazing.
Oh yeah. So she walked by. Everybody walks over to me and she goes, "Oh my God, honey, that was awesome." I said, "Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you very much. I appreciate that." And she goes, "No, that was great. Are you kidding me?" I go, "Really? That means a lot. Me just getting into the business and you being what you are." And
Yeah.
she goes, "Just getting into business, honey. How many years have you been doing it?" I go, "Years. That was my 6th time on stage."
Wow.
She goes, you saw, oh, she reaches out a hand.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she goes, "I see big things for you, honey. I see big things." Every time she sees me, she always goes, "What I tell ya? What I tell ya?"
But my favorite line from her was we talked about we had her on the podcast years ago, and we mentioned John Perrotta. She's like, "Oh, I love him. If I had a uterus, I'd give him a kid."
I'd give that man a baby if I had a uterus.
And we named the episode that was the name of the episode. But.
She's a nut.
And so you said Lenny, her, and was there one other one that you were going to say?
I've had a couple, but another one that stood out to me was actually Tony V.
Oh, yeah.
I was on the
Yeah.
show with Tony V. Tony V was sitting down, and I was sitting down with one of the other comedians. Tony V walks in. He goes, "Hey, how you doing, Tony V?" I looked at him. I smiled. I go, "Okay." And he just he looks he looks at me like this face. He looks at me with this face. I go, I know
You didn't
who
do your
are. I go,
research on the Boston comedy scene before you started, did you?
And Tony has no ego whatsoever.
No, and that's
No,
the
no.
funny thing. Yeah,
No
you may
ego.
know me as Blinky from Seinfeld. I twirled an umbrella.
No, he introduced himself. He goes,
Yes,
"Oh,
yeah,
you."
exactly.
And I'm looking, and then I go, I know who you are. I go, we've actually worked together. He goes, oh yeah, I remember. I go, no, you
No, you don't.
And then he starts laughing. Then all of a sudden I go, here, I found the picture on my phone of me and him together.
Oh
I
my
go, here
God.
it is. And he goes, oh yeah, now I remember. I go, no, you don't. And he just starts laughing.
He's such
And,
a great guy.
And this is out Womasket Lane in
Oh yeah.
so then I go up and
Was
I
that
do
for
my
Dave
set.
Russo? Dave Russo?
Yeah.
Fulcino Vineyards, one
Yeah.
1 hour north of Boston, in Hollis, New Hampshire.
We
He's
had
awesome.
Russo on. He plugged that fucking show like every 5 minutes.
Every
Have
5
I-
minutes.
have I
Fuccino
told you-
Vineyards.
Have I told you I'm drinking a nice Merlot from Fulcino
Fuccino
Vineyards,
Vineyards.
1 hour north of Boston, right outside of Nashua, Hollis, New Hampshire.
Another guy that's been great to me.
He's
Another guy
awesome.
that's been- So I go up and I have a great set, right? Really great set. I was very happy. And I walk off the stage and I go over and they had little snacks there, and obviously fat me run over there. And I start nibbling away. And,
Well, listen, you're an
Tony-
athlete. You got to keep yourself fed.
You don't even know. I'm still trying to
He's sweating just sitting there.
huge cornhole tournament coming up.
So he's got a carbo load.
Yeah, he's got a carb load. He's gonna have a bowl of pasta when he gets off here.
That and I got finger football. You know what I mean? So he walks by me. And he looks at me and he goes, "I'll remember you now."
Yeah,
And
that's
it was
awesome.
like, it was just a fucking cool. It was subtle and such a cool thing to say.
Did he do
you
the
know what I mean?
Robert De Niro face? Yo.
I'll remember
no,
you
no,
now.
no.
It was Tony
No,
V
no.
that said it.
Oh,
Tony
Tony
V
V said
Yeah.
it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Russo
So,
still.
so I got a
No.
question for you. Have you ever worked with Frank Santarelli from The Sopranos? I don't know if you know. I played
Yeah.
Georgie on The Sopranos. 7 seasons.
Best fucking show of all
Best fucking
time.
show of all time.
I love when he does that though.
Oh my God!
He
Because you know what?
constantly
You know what's awesome about Frank? If you don't know him, you're like, "Is this guy for fucking real?" And
Yes.
then you,
Yeah.
you
Yes, he
realize
is.
no, he's making fun of himself. He's making
Yeah.
like he's just.
He's hilarious.
We had him on a podcast. He told a story, and it's as if he had never learned how to use a microphone in his life because he gets up.
He was in studio with us.
Yeah, he tells the story, but then he gets up, walks across the room, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm over here. I'm not gonna."
He walks away from the microphone. And we're like, Frank, Mike, you got to be on mic. You got-
I think it was the episode that Scott had to do the most sound editing on since we started the podcast. It was crazy.
Every night for a week, I was editing that episode.
You'd have to bring the volume up, bring it down. Bring
because
it
it
up,
was
bring
a
it down.
great
Oh,
episode.
it's fucking hilarious.
He is. He's awesome. I tell him all the time he should have his own YouTube channel called
Oh, my God.
Campfires with Frank Santarelli.
A
He
couple
could
of
sit by
years
a
ago,
campfire and tell you it all night. He could
a
just-
couple of years ago, he was doing shit about coffee. Remember, he was
Yes.
like, "Got a nice coffee straw,
right there.
delicious," in his car, just
sitting in his car.
sitting in his car. There's a nice coffee. Now, he's just one of those naturally funny guys.
He is filled with useless information.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
is.
But
is
he
like,
makes
oh,
it so entertaining.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Campfires. You literally can just record them for hours. You
Yep.
make millions off of them.
Well, you know how, like, one of my pet peeves is comics in the green room, like, before the show. You know, some of us are just trying to, figure out what we're going to do and stuff. Yeah, my pet peeve is the comic who's always on. They don't say, "Hey, what do you think of this joke?" Like, if someone says, "Hey, what do you think of this joke?" and then they tell the joke and we talk about it, it's the person that tries their jokes out on me. Like,
And they try to
come
make
on.
it seem like they're not trying.
like they're
the
not
jokes.
trying, like they're always on. I
All right,
can't
fine.
stand that. But
All right. I won't talk to you.
no,
anymore.
no. But here's the funny thing: Frank Santarelli can just make. He's one of those naturally funny people because it's not a character; it's just who he is.
Yeah.
And every time he says something outrageous, you look at him and you're like, what? And then he's got this little like whimsical grin on his face, like, yeah, I'm fucking with you. That's right. You know, he's just he's one of the best. So.
Yeah, the last show I did with him, it was funny because I come off stage and I think you guys are gonna get sick of hearing this, but I had a good set.
All right,
Hey,
here we go again.
There's his crutch.
Yeah, exactly.
Had
a good set. Yeah. Well, he says 100% all the time. I say to your point. So now every time you say I had a great set, we're gonna drink.
Solid.
I crush. I don't mean to say I crush, but I made orange juice up there.
They had vodka coming out of their nose, and they weren't even drinking vodka.
Water distilled in their fucking nasal passages and came out their nose.
Hey, Jesus ain't got shit on me.
That's right.
I will
Fuck
see
the water
two
to
of them
wine.
pass out in the front row because of lack of oxygen to their brain. All me.
I don't mean to brag.
So yeah, his favorite thing is when you walk off stage, if you do have a good set in front of him, he goes, "Hey, nice set. Don't get cocky, kid."
Well, we had a guy, Rich Walker from Long Island.
This is my favorite.
I went up and he was headlining and I was featuring because the guy that was booking it wouldn't. He was just like, he was a nice guy, but he hadn't seen me before, and so I had to pay my dues with him. And I crushed to the point where then the booker came up to me and said, "Hey, they're taking an intermission. Do you have any more material?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Can you do another like 15 after intermission, and then we'll bring up the headliner?" I come off stage, and this guy, Rich Walker, comes off and goes, "Hey, so where do you think you lost him?" And he goes, "What the fuck, buddy? I got to go up and follow that?" But that's how you get moved up, is when the person in the spot after you says, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
This guy should not be playing before me," you know? And it happens. Yeah. That's the best way to move up. You know?
Now, I got to ask.
It never happened with me. They were always like, "Put the fat kid on." He won't go up, throw a cheeseburger on stage.
He'll be fine.
I got to ask you, because 6 years in, and recently you headlined for a weekend at Nick's Comedy Stop, which in Boston, that's a legendary club. How was your weekend there?
Awesome.
He crushed.
He drew up. I don't want to say anything.
It doesn't matter. We're clinking anyway.
We're drinking anyway.
We're clinking anyway.
Take a sip. Ready? Here we go. No.
Buckle up.
Man, it only gets better from here. Actually, it was good. I enjoyed it. It's definitely a different crowd.
That's what we've heard. I haven't played Nick's in years and years and years, but yeah, they were different crowds than other places. Little less forgiving than other audiences.
Yeah, I think it's also the room. The guy that seats the room, they have seats on the outside edges.
Yeah.
And then he has a bunch of seats in the middle.
Yeah.
He sits everybody on the outside.
On the outside first.
Yeah,
like
right. It's like, yeah, you should seat the middle first.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He fills it in like my hairline.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And a couple of patches in the middle.
Now, was that? I'm sure you've closed shows before, but was that your first headlining weekend at a club?
My first I've been headlining at Murphy's Tavern for Dave Radigan.
Oh yeah. I've done that before.
Nice. I really think that room could be a nice room.
I do too. I mean,
if he could advertise it.
The night that I did it, I had like 7 people there. It was fun.
Is that in Manchester?
Yes.
Yep.
It's a great setup for comedy.
Yep.
Oh.
Like you said, if they could advertise and get people in there, it would be a fantastic and very fun room because it's set up perfect.
Oh yeah, got a little hallway going all the way down to the back. Like I could see like HBO special. Hey, go following the camera follows.
Yes, camera follows down the hallway, down the hall
to the green
down
room.
the stairs to where the seats are down below and the stage in the back.
And then all of a sudden you walk on stage and grab the mic and you're like, hey, hey, how you doing?
No. It's a perfect size for like it almost has a feel of one of the old school basement comedy
New
clubs.
York comedy clubs.
The New York basement style comedy clubs.
Or the
everything.
Vault. Wasn't the vault like that?
Yeah, the vault. I loved the
No,
vault.
Dick Doherty's vault. That was in
Yeah.
downtown
I-
Boston.
I don't think I was around then.
No, you were still doing construction only.
Yeah.
You know, reciting Eddie Murphy jokes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
So let me
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
you this: we always wrap up the show. First of all, thanks for being on and
Oh,
really
Jason, great stories, man.
and saving us tonight because, like I said, we had a last minute cancellation, and when we started talking about dates, and I was like, I got some in November, but I got tomorrow if you're available, and
It
you were
was-
great. You got right back to me. So
and turned out to be, man, great story. And I knew it would be because I was lucky enough to work with you a few times, man. And you're a great comic, so
Well, and he's
I knew you'd
obviously-
have some great stories.
and he's
so.
obviously professional. He's got soundproofing behind him, as opposed to our poster that we have behind us. So
He-
I
he's
had a-
he's
the real
one
deal.
level. He's one level above us.
Well, yeah, we're gonna come to your house to record the podcast every week now.
Yeah, you can
I had
co-produce.
one. Check it out, Caution Comedy Podcast. I think it's still up though.
Is it? Oh yeah, I'm sure it
Yeah,
is.
I got it on with my daughter started producing it, and then I had my daughter in on it, and
Nice.
you know, it is. I wanted to do what you guys are doing with the comedians,
Yeah,
and
it's a lot, man.
Yeah, she loves like the ghost stuff. So every time she came down with different ideas, and she should do a podcast. I think she would be great at it.
Well,
Yeah.
tell Jason, not to interrupt you, but tell your daughter if she likes ghost stuff and paranormal. Every October, Ace loves paranormal. I hate
hates
it
He hates it.
with a passion. But a few years ago, a friend of ours, Tom Stewart, comedian, he used to be a paranormal investigator, still does it once in a while. He came in and told us some stories from his paranormal investigations.
Yep.
Well, since then, October now is called Scotttober. And
Really?
we do the whole month is paranormal guests. And last year we had Jason Hawes from Ghost Hunters, Ghost Nation on. We had this guy Ken DeCosta from Rise Up Paranormal. We had this couple from they have a paranormal museum. We had a bunch of great guests on. And this year our first guest of Scotttober is Andrea Perrin.
She won't be the first one. She'll be the third one. It's while I'm away.
That we're
recording it early.
Okay.
But-
well, one of the
go
guests
ahead.
we have is Andrea Perrin. She is the oldest daughter of the Perrin family that lived in the Conjuring house during all of the
So,
hauntings.
If you've seen the movie The Conjuring,
it's based
Yeah,
on their
she's-
story.
She's the real oldest daughter from the movie The Conjuring.
She wrote a
Like,
book called House of Darkness, House of Light,
Yeah.
based on her real paranormal experiences in that house.
Yeah.
really?
Yep.
Yes.
And then we have the paranormal couple coming on, which is Satori Hawes, which is Jason Hawes' daughter from Jason from Ghost Hunters. His daughter and her boyfriend have a paranormal museum.
Where they have all artifacts that they've removed from people's homes
Yes, I've
because
seen
these
that.
artifacts haunt people's houses. So anyway, if your daughter loves this stuff, she can watch Ace because I'm taking October off.
No.
I will not be here.
No. And we've
Why?
got...
You don't like it?
He hates it. He
Fucking hate
Dude,
it.
the way this whole started was we had Tom Stewart on, and he started talking about paranormal investigations that he did, and he started playing like electronic voice phenomenon, EVPs, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, now you can see how talkative my co-host is. He got quiet for a full half hour, and I looked over at him, and he was breaking out in a sweat on his head. And I go, dude, are you all right? He goes, I don't like this shit. And of course, as soon as I find your weakness, I'm going after it. So
Because that's what best friends do.
that's what we do. So now I book the whole month with paranormal guests. I've got Joe Chin. This is newly announced.
Yes.
I've got Joe
Just
Chin,
booked him this week.
who was on Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International. He's coming in. And then we've got Ken DeCosta coming back on because I actually got him to come on a paranormal investigation.
We did an
a few weeks
investigation.
ago. There's a place
I
at
would love
Lyle.
to do that.
Oh,
On-
dude,
on-
it's so much fun.
We went
Tell
to
any
one
of
of
them
the.
if they want to take me, I'd love to go.
Listen, man,
we
I'll
went
tell-
on one of the most to a place that is considered one of the most active paranormal places in New England.
and it's a mile down the street from my house. So here's the thing. They do investigations there all the time. I'll let you know some dates, and if you want to come down, come down and do the investigation, and then you can sleep here that night. You don't have to go, drive back home to New Hampshire. You can just stay here. We'll have
I
a
can
slumber
sleep at
party.
your house.
Yeah.
Because
I don't even need the investigation. I'm just coming over.
Yeah.
Snuggle bag.
Jay,
Hey, that's Scott's job, okay? I provide
Yeah,
the house.
whoa,
he
whoa,
provides
whoa.
the snuggles.
yeah, don't weasel your way in that far.
No.
Dude, I got
'cause-
soft hands.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
this
all right. Well, we'll
this
think about
haunted
it.
place is literally a mile from his house.
Yeah. It's
Really,
a mile.
huh?
It's a mile
Yeah.
down the road from my house. Yeah. But listen, I wanted to get to the last question before we started talking about what's coming up in Scottober.
Yeah.
So we always wrap up the show by asking our guest about the funny bad gig story. And if you've been doing comedy more than 6 months, you've got at least one. And this is the gig that was so bad that it's funny. Like, it was so bad the night of that you're like, I think I might want to quit comedy. But
When it was happening, you're thinking, construction's not that bad.
yeah, I like my day gig. I'll sing church hymns on the lift. But all of a sudden,
callback.
I can't write a callback for my own act,
Yeah,
but
your
I
own
write
act,
them all
but
the
you got
time
one
on the
for
fucking
him.
show. But this is the gig that, like, 6 months later, you're in the green room with a bunch of other comics, and everyone's saying, "Oh my god, this fucking gig I had last weekend. This is how bad it was." And you're like, "Oh, you think that's bad? Oh, I got one for you."
Yeah. I got two. One real.
I laugh because you don't know how
Everyone
many
has more than
any
one.
comedian that's been doing this for 2 years or more going, oh man, which one do I want to tell?
You can tell them both. Tell them both.
I got one, but you guys ain't gonna believe this.
All right.
But I crushed it.
I
And
Hold on. Hey, get over here.
hold on, Clay.
you guys are gonna have to get bigger cups when I come on.
No
huh?
shit.
I'm gonna have to sleep over tonight if I keep drinking like this.
Yeah, no kidding. No struggling.
It wasn't even that. It wasn't even that bad. I think it just shocked the shit out of me. Like like again, I grew up in Lawrence. I was the white kid, so I was always the kid. White kid this, white kid that. And I was always the one getting picked on. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So racial stuff, not racist, racial stuff. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
I've always found it funny. I married an Asian woman. I do Asian jokes, and I come off stage, and people have come up to me going, "Is your wife really Asian?" It's like, no. Be here next week. She's going to be black. It's going to get even funnier.
Yeah, right.
I can't stand. I mean, I don't know what people are thinking. Like, I'm just making these stories up. A lot of our
Right.
stories have some truth to it, lady. You know what I mean? Anyways,
Exactly.
and my wife loves the jokes. My wife has a great personality.
She wrote
That's
them.
why I married her. Yeah, she's like, "Let me help you out, honey. You're not doing
Yeah,
too well.
let me punch this joke up for you.
You're definitely going to need a laugh on this one." So I was on stage, and I was joking. I got onto my Indian bit. I was like, "Well, here he goes. It's not a bug. He come down there, do the what. And I started doing my Indian bit, and
Yep.
this girl just screams out, "Racist!"
Oh, Karen.
Stage like, holy shit! Did this just happen? Like, but I don't get stunned very easily.
Yeah.
It was like a rock got stuck in my mouth. And I just turned to her, and I was just like, "Really, honey?" And at that time, I had not said my wife was Asian, and I start going off. My wife's Asian, this and that, and I goes, "I'm in a biracial marriage,
Right.
And at that point, though, I caught myself like, "Why am I fucking explaining?
Why am I
this to
explaining
you?"
myself? Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't have to explain to you. I know who I am as a person.
Right.
You telling me what I am is not what I am.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the weirdest one I had. And then she comes up to me after the set. I'm out in the back, and she comes over. She's like, I just think that you must be very careful when you talk about different races and do different, because that Donald Trump is very." And she starts going at me, and I looked at her.
Oh
I
my
said,
God.
Word.
I said, "Honey," I go, "Are you upset because I did an Indian joke and you're Indian?" And she goes, "No, I am not Indian. I am from Nepal." And she goes, "And I hate when people call me Indian." I said, "Hate? That sounds pretty racist."
Nice.
awesome.
Nice.
Everybody around laughed.
That's
it was
great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Way to spin it around on
Yeah.
her.
What do you hate Indians?
So you hate
You
Indians?
racist Nepalese
right?
lady?
she actually said we hate when people call us Indians. So I'm like, well, that's racist, honey. You hate when somebody calls you a different race. Yeah, I don't care. Call me whatever you want.
Yeah. I
So
personally hate when people call me Canadian. How do you like that, lady?
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not fucking Canadian.
I get mixed up with Mexicans all the time.
Yeah, right.
And what was the other one? We did a bit. We did a show for a kid with autism. And we were showing up to do the show, and he was trying to raise money for a coffee shop. And we show up, and Dave Radigan, because he has autism, gets a bunch of people to donate some of their time. So we had some people on the show, and then he had some people to donate their time. Even Josh McKinnon came down to donate their time, right?
Oh, Justin McKinney?
Justin McKinnon. Jeez,
Justin, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of friends. So
not if you fuck up their names all the time.
You know Larry Clark.
Yeah, Larry Clark.
And his brother Marty Clark.
Yeah, his brother Marty.
And
So,
Jimmy Peasy.
Yeah, Jimmy Peasy, Joey Dunn.
I can't believe I just screwed up there. I'm Frank Santronelli's name.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway, let me continue.
Frank Satrielli.
I'm freaking tired, people.
Yeah.
My throat. I'm blaming my. I'll go
Yeah,
back to my
yeah.
throat.
I worked
Fucking
construction
cats.
this
My cats
morning.
Are killing me. So we're waiting there, and you got two people in the audience. Not even sitting close to the stage, way out. We're waiting. Nobody's coming in. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. This poor guy. I felt so bad. And then this guy walks in, and he has 3 kids with them, and they look like they have a disability, and quiet a little bit, whatever. And he starts talking to Dave. He says, hey, how you do on tickets? He goes, it doesn't look like we're doing good. He goes, you still going to do the show? And Dave goes, I'm sure the guys will end up doing the show, even though,
Yeah,
we'll donate our time. We're already here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll do something for them. And the guy reaches in, pulls out money, and hands it to Dave. And he goes, here, pay your comedians. And Dave goes, what? And he goes, yeah, pay your comedians. Give the kid a good show. And he goes, I know my 3 kids all have autism, and I just would like to support it. I think it's good that you guys are doing this. And then he walked out of the building, and 2 more people showed up. So we had 4 people in the audience. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't the worst part. It was still a great thing that we were about to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the worst part was her.
Meanwhile, Jason's like, "Hey, you shorted me $20."
I think you missed a hand or 2.
Yeah, there's one Andrew Jackson missing.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I can smell a 20 in your pocket. So to do it for free, I was like, I'm all set. He's like, no, the guy paid us. Just see it. Just take some money. I was like, no. He's like, no, dude, Jay. He goes, I ain't taking it all. I feel like a piece of shit. So anyways, he made sure he gave everybody a couple of bucks for coming, gas money and whatnot. So anyways, I go on stage. That wasn't the worst part. 4 people in the audience. One's his aunt. 4 people in the audience. Fucking one person that can't shut the fuck up. Like, I got a heckler with only 4 people in the audience.
Oh my God!
It turned into a conversation.
Oh.
The lady wouldn't stop, and I didn't even want to be up there at that point. She just everything you said.
She had something to say.
Yes, and if you alienate the 1 out of 4 people,
that's a quarter of the audience.
You lose the audience. That's a no-win situation.
I literally was like, really, lady? I go, I'm getting heckled. There's only 4 of you, and you won't shut up. I go, what do you do for a living? She goes, I'm a chef. I go, a chef? I go, I watched that show with that guy. What's his name? She goes, Ramsey. I go, yeah, Ramsey. She goes, he's an asshole. I go, Miga, I guess it must run in the business. So,
did she shut up?
What do you do for a living, ma'am? I'm a grief counselor.
No. Yeah.
She talked to Justin said. She talked to Dave said. I
I don't get people like that. You're especially when you're at a fundraiser type of.
Well, you know what it is?
event.
They make it about themselves.
I know.
They're narcissistic. They got to make it about themselves.
There
All
are
right.
people. There are people that believe that we want them to do that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, have you ever
absolutely.
had someone come
I'm
up
gonna
to you
make
after
the
a show?
better. I
Hey,
made
I
the
was
show
trying to
better."
help you out.
Yeah. No, you
Yeah.
weren't. You fucked with me. Yeah.
Dude, shut the fuck up. That helps me out a lot.
Yeah. Then I can get through the material that I've spent years actually writing and perfecting on stage.
Bobcat Goldthwait. Bobcat Goldthwait said it best. He goes.
He said,
Hi, how you doing?
That's the direct quote.
"Yeah,
But he said the worst hecklers are family.
Yeah.
Because they know how to push your buttons because they installed the buttons.
Right.
And it's so true. I did a show in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I had relatives that lived in Berwick, Maine, and Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and they all came out, and they're yelling shit when I'm on stage. And I was not long in the business. I was like 3 or 4 years in, and I didn't go after them like I should have.
yeah."
And I ended up eating it hard that night because they ruined my set. They totally my 3 uncles ruined my set that night. They were so horrible. And afterwards my uncle was like, I was totally trying to help you, man. What happened? Trying to help me. You fucked me up.
Yeah, right. You did not
You
help.
totally ruined the whole thing. Well, if
Yeah,
you can't
appreciate the
handle
help.
it.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a little something on that night though, real quick, because I know that your shows ain't supposed to go.
No, go ahead.
no,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Whatever.
We got time.
We're gonna edit the fuck out of you anyways, Jason.
No. He doesn't edit anything. Don't worry.
I'm the worst editor ever. So
Yeah.
don't worry.
Do you know
Go
how
on
many
with it.
times you'll hear something and then someone will say, "Oh, you'll edit that out," and I go, "No, Scott won't edit that out." You'll actually hear me saying Scott won't edit it out,
That's still in the episode.
and it's still in the episode. Yeah.
Well, here's a little something on that little story I told you with the 4 people in the heckler. That night, I did not crush. True story.
I don't know what to do now. I was
I know.
ready to drink.
What do we
and,
do?
Yeah.
He didn't crush in front of 4 people.
I don't know what to do now.
Well, that's a perfect way to end the show because that's the first time.
Yeah, that's. Everything's so awkward right
I know.
now. I just
know.
don't know what
Just
to do.
Just go
It's going to
quiet.
show the youth of America it can happen to anybody.
There it is.
That's
there
it.
it is. The
That's
name of the
it.
episode. It can happen to anybody.
Jason Merrill.
It can happen to anybody.
That's
Jason,
perfect.
awesome having you on, man. I so enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Thank you guys, man. I appreciate it.
I do. I hope I get to work with you soon because you seem fun. You seem like a good time.
He's a
and-
blast to hang out with, and you book that Italian gig. Let me tell you, food was good and the audience was great. So
Yeah,
that
just so
was a
you-
win-win.
just so you
That
know-
sounds like a John Parada gig. There's food. It's Italian.
I had the chicken
what?
parm,
You
it
get
was
the chicken
fantastic.
parm, Yeah.
They absolutely loved you, just so you know.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely love you. And I'm saying literally brought your name up 4 or 5 times.
Oh, that was
I'd love
such
to
a
have you back.
That was a fun crowd. It was a great place. You run a great show there, man. He really engages the crowd well.
Yeah.
It's a nice setup. The owner there is very supportive.
Where is
it? Was
it?
so much fun.
Where is it?
Candy in New Hampshire. It's called Cellos. It's up in Candy, New Hampshire.
All right.
The club we're trying to build. Hopefully, I can go full. I'm trying. We're once a month right now, but we're working on some more dates and
Trying to work on a more steady schedule.
Yeah, well, they do a lot of weddings in that room. So
so you're at
gatherings and whatnot. So I'm competing against that, and but so far every night we've had the comedy, it's been great. It's called Shooting
Great.
from the Hip, and even though I gave you that compliment, do me a favor. Don't get cocky, kid.
I crushed that night, by the way. I don't know if you noticed, but I crushed that night.
Absolutely crushed. I thought you did all right, but
I did okay. I did okay.
nice of me.
It was Jason, myself, and Johnny Peasy. Those
that
people
must have
got
been
a
so much
great
fun.
show that
Oh, my
night.
God, yeah.
From beginning to end, it was like a 3-headliner show. It
Yeah.
was fantastic.
That's
It
awesome.
was so much fun. So what can we promote for you, Jason, as far as like website, social media, anything like that?
Upcoming shows.
Upcoming shows, anything.
coming. Honestly, you guys are catching me off guard. I know I got a lot coming up. I know I got one in Tingsboro all I could say is follow me on Facebook, Jason Merrill Comedy. Friend me on Facebook, Jason Merrill Comedy on Instagram. I got a purple card.
I'll put links to his social media in the show notes. So if you're listening and you want to learn more about Jason, just go to the show notes. His links will be there. And Jason is one of those must-see comics. He delivers when he's on stage. Absolutely hilarious. We talked about earlier his storytelling style and his stage presence when he's on stage. He's up there, and it's like one of your favorite friends in your living room telling you these hilarious stories. It's so much fun. You definitely got to go out and see him.
And those are the best type of comics.
Yeah, no. It's he's one of those guys that when I do a show with him, I am not going to be in the back bullshitting with the other guys.
No, you're paying
I'm going to be
attention.
out watching him perform because he's fun to watch.
Enjoying the show.
He's fun to watch.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys got to come over and talk to my wife and hype me up like that.
By the way, it doesn't work for any of us. If,
No.
If these guys talk to my wife, it does shit. So good luck.
And I'm divorced, so
Yeah,
guys
it didn't work for him
it
either.
didn't work for me either. It's
you guys
amazing.
still not
Everyone
funny
else
at
thinks
home?
I'm cool. Everyone else thinks I'm cool and funny.
What's
except
that,
for her.
Jason?
Funny at home, my wife always goes, "You're not funny."
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. No.
I've been
My
married
kid-
for 31 years. I haven't been funny for 30.
Yeah.
I always buy them special things with the comedy money because that way when they're like, Dad,
It
you're not
feeds it.
funny. I always look at their shoes and go, yeah, see those
Yeah.
shoes? Funny money got you that.
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
When
see
we're
that,
in-
see
when
that
we're-
fucking cruise we just went on?
Yes.
That was funny money.
Yeah, that's what I do. We're on a nice vacation somewhere, getting a little sunburn, going, how you like that pina colada? Yeah. A joke just paid for
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
I do that shit all
And that
the
second
time.
pina colada, that was a callback. So shut the fuck up and drink.
You know that shrimp skewer you just
Yeah,
enjoyed for
yeah,
lunch?
Yeah, how do you like that?
That was Johnny
By the way-
Peasy gigs last month.
Yeah,
By
right.
the way, that night I crushed it.
There it is.
Hey,
that might
that should be the name of the
Jason
episode.
Merrill, I crushed it. That's the name of the episode. Jason,
That's
thank you
awesome.
so much, man. This was absolutely fucking awesome.
Yeah,
man.
thanks so much for being. I
guys.
really hope to work with you soon, man.
You guys,
And-
same here.
And I definitely will let you know next time we do an investigation, because if you want to do that, actually, you know what we should have him come is to the when we set up the Bradley Theater one, because we're going to need extra people to do that. That's a big place. So.
Yeah. Since I can't make it that night, you need the extra
No,
hands.
you're there all the time.
You
Stop
need
being a
extra
pussy.
help.
He books a show at the Bradley Theater in Putnam, Connecticut, and it's known to be a haunted location. Dozens of places, ghost hunters, a bunch of other TV shows have been there, as well as other paranormal investigators. And Scott's going to set up an investigation there one night, and we're all going to go. So we'll definitely, if you're interested in that. How old's your daughter?
She's 21.
Old enough to go, so we'll have her.
Old
If
enough to
she's
go.
interested in that, we'll
would
bring
love it.
her.
I'll unlock the
Awesome.
doors and head out while you guys investigate away.
No, listen, man, we'll have a blast. It'll be fun.
I'll be scared shit. I ain't lying to you. I'm going to be like,
Yeah. You know what? I will give my co-host props, and we're going to get more into it when we do the episode, but he did a really good job on the paranormal investigation at the Payne House that we did. He didn't run out like a little girl. He didn't scream.
Well, that's
He
because I
was-
didn't get dragged across the room or
No.
tapped on the shoulder or anything.
But there was some things
But there
that
was
happened.
there were a couple of moments, and I don't want to say anything
Yeah,
because we're
'cause-
going to discuss them later.
Right.
That I almost needed a pair of Depends.
Yeah. So, but he did a great job. So, yeah, if we know that you're interested in that, man, we'll definitely get you on one of those paranormal investigations. It'll be fun.
man, let's do it. I love it.
You got it, man.
Thanks again,
Thanks, Jason.
Have a good night. All right, and that was Jason Merrill. What an awesome guy. Like I said, I never got to work with him. I haven't gotten to meet him and work with him yet, but
And what you
so down to earth and cool.
and that's how he is on stage when he walks up on
Yeah.
stage too. He's a very genuine guy on stage. He tells great stories.
Yeah.
He has the same kind of like laid back,
Easygoing, laid back,
easygoing
yeah,
style. Very funny. His jokes are very well crafted. I really took a liking to him the very first time I worked with him.
Yeah.
Instantly. There's some guys like the first time you meet him, you're like, all right, whatever.
They got to grow on you a little bit.
They got to grow on you. Some guys never grow on you.
Right.
Jason was one of those guys that the first time you liked him.
Yeah.
You just instantly liked him.
Well, hopefully, it's funny because I know he works a lot for Radigan, and I just reached out to Radigan last week to get some gigs because that's been my big problem because I have the day job.
Only for the past 30 years.
Yeah, 30 years that I'm not good at reaching out to people.
No,
I'm just not, and I need to.
It's got to become part of the routine and part of the business side of it. That we've talked about with other people on here before. So,
but listen, folks,
I hope you guys enjoyed that because Jason's one of those guys that more people should know about.
Yeah.
Because he's very funny.
Yeah, hopefully more people know about him.
Yeah,
through
definitely
this.
go out and if you see him on the bill, know you're going to have a good time.
Yeah. So listen, folks, next week, so excited for this. Next week, we have Wendy Liebman coming on. Amazing comic, one of the first comics on Comedy Central.
I am going to try not to fanboy out next week.
I know, me too. I fucking
That's
love
gonna be
Wendy
so hard.
Liebman, and the fact that she's coming on is just amazing. So Wendy's on next week. The week after, we have Jimmy Cash coming on, who we've talked about. Amazing comic, but also blown up on TikTok like our friend Rodney Norman. And then we roll into Scottober, and as I said earlier, first week we've got Satori and Cody coming on.
They're on the
paranormal
first
couple.
week?
They are the first week paranormal couple, bringing in some great artifacts into the
You're using the word great very loosely.
Well, because I wasn't here last year. I was down in Florida, so I'm really excited that they're going to be on. Then the following week is going to be Joe Chin from Ghost Hunters International.
I'm actually looking forward to that. That's going to be interesting.
And he was on the investigation at the Payne House with
and
us.
he
so it'll
told
be cool.
me an amazing story that night that I want him to repeat on that episode.
So we're really excited to have Joe. The following week will be a pre-recorded segment because I'm going to be out of town. I got to work a conference in Washington, D.C., but we're going to be pre-recording with Andrea Perrone, who, again, was the oldest daughter in the real Conjuring house. It was The Conjuring, one was about her family. She was the oldest daughter. And again, she wrote a book. And she told us last year when we were at Paracon that, the Conjuring, they took a lot of liberties with the story.
Yes.
And she said there was enough crazy shit that went on in the house that they didn't include in the movie that, they added stuff in the movie. She said there was enough crazy shit going on in that house.
She
that
can
was scary
refute
enough.
stuff that's in the movie, but also add stuff that wasn't in the movie that's just as scary.
Exactly. So that's going to be the third week of Scottober. And then the last week, we're going to have Ken DaCosta on from Rise Up Paranormal, and he's going to be talking with us about the investigation. And again, we haven't heard any EVPs yet because Tom Stewart is going to be going through that material. And by the way, Tom is going to be our co-host the entire month of Scottober as well.
But we did finish the night.
Yes. With that session that was so crazy, and I don't want to give away too much.
And we're not going to say any more than that.
But
that
it was
kind of blew my mind.
Because you did it and you didn't realize just how crazy it was.
They were asking me to do something that at first I said, no way, no way, no way. And then they finally talked me into doing it, and I did it. And then afterwards, when I kind of saw it on video, because they shot it on video, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll be able to include a couple of the things on video.
Yeah.
I think I can preload videos so we can actually show them on the show.
You guys.
But at the very least, you'll be able to hear what went on as well. So listen, guys, we're starting a book November. We got the best of in December. It's going to be
22 is going to close out really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
It's going to be great.
So thank you so much for sticking with us. Thank you so much for listening. Please support all the comics that we have on.
Yes.
These guys come on, tell us some great stories, and they're amazing comedians. So please support them any way that you can. And if you want to support us, that 5-star written review. If you like us, you want to support us, that's a great way to do it.
Yep,
anywhere you download. And another great way
is tell a friend about us, and then also our Patreon page. Become a patron. You're going to get extra content. You're going to get bonus content. You're going to get swag, whether it's a mug or or a T-shirt. It's one giving level, $5 a month, and it's at www.patreon.com/behind the funny. And last thing, if you want to ask us questions that you want to, if there's a comic that you want to have on, if you're not from the New England area, you know, we tend to have a lot of New England comics because that's where we're from. But if you've got comics that are from elsewhere in the country that you want to get on, let us know. We'd love to have them on. So email us.
Or as we go into Scotttober, you got a paranormal question.
Questions that you may have, just email us. And our email is...
How big of a pile of shit did Scott have in his pants during the night of the paranormal investigation?
But our email is...
BehindTheFunnyPod@gmail.com. BehindTheFunnyPod, P-O-D, @gmail.com.
So please, listen to us. There's so many ways to interact with the show. We also have a Behind the Funny page on Facebook. So you can follow us on Facebook, and that's where we
everything's on there.
And that's where we actually shoot the show every week on
if you want to watch live.
On Wednesday or Thursday
recording.
night if you want to watch live. Exactly. Other than that, folks, I know that's a handful, that's a mouthful, but other than that, we really appreciate you listening, and we will talk to you
next week.